We are here this morning. It's October something, 25th, 26th. We're at the piers in Baltimore, and today we're going to video the nuclear ship Savannah, on which our parents, Aunt Mary, and grandmother sailed. And right now we're looking at a bulker. Maybe this is my host, Erhard Kohler. Anyway, here comes the ship. She's in beautiful condition, really beautiful. And this morning, they're putting out extra lines because of Hurricane Sandy. So you can see Steve and Dominic down here. They are working on putting out extra lines. It's overcast, but I don't think that's yet from Sandy. And across the way here is the U.S. Naval Hospital ship, the Comfort. And I'm not sure, I think she's one of the old Lykes Lashore CB ships that was converted to a hospital ship many years ago. And I understand they were doing lifeboat drills yesterday. Big, long ship. The Enchantment of the Seas is here. Of course, we sailed on her in 2009. So we'll zoom in on the bridge. They have the running lights lit. I guess they do that just for effect. A little chilly here this morning. But really, design-wise, this ship is very sleek. Too bad the side of everything here is all cluttered, but that's the way it goes. And those of you who watch this on YouTube, you know, you do the best you can with what you got. She almost looks like she could put to sea right now. Of course, the reactor's been decommissioned for many years. If my memory serves me correctly, she stayed for a long time in Norfolk, and then was moved up here. Fortunately, we're like too close. But that's okay. The nuclear symbol. Well, this is kind of the view that our relatives would have gotten as they came on board 48 years ago. I love it. Atoms for peace. Look at that. So we're in Baltimore Harbor. Hi. That's why we have camera. So I'm known as camera on a stick, and it's much easier to.
These were the pads for the plate anchors in the reserve fleet.
Okay. Well, we're here this morning at the nuclear ship Savannah in the company of Erhard Kohler, who's graciously allowed me a tour based on our family's history. So we're going to walk. We've been up at the bow. Say hello, Earhart. There's Earhart.
Hi.
And hopefully, if he's lucky, I won't do that to him again. We're here. You can't see the piers we're at, but we're at this is Canton Marine.
Canton Marine Terminal.
Canton Marine Terminals. So
Scene of Ladder 49.
Okay, there we go. Ladder 49 was filmed there. Let's zoom in on that so we have a little bit more history. There we go. All right. So we're going to wander back, and Earhart's going to stand behind me so that he can make sure that I don't fall. He'll grab me by the neck, so if you see the camera going backwards. So here's the anchor windlass. Of course,
It'll be tested next week.
It's going to work. It does work. There we go. It's going to get tested next week. And you've seen earlier they're putting out extra lines for the arrival of Sandy. So this would be number 1 cargo hatch.
Number 1 hatch with a government surplus little hydraulic davit in the box.
Cool. What was the capacity of the gear?
They were rated for 8 tons.
8 tons.
It's myth and legend that it's World War II surplus. It's all late 50s vintage electro-hydraulic. Didn't work any better on here than it did on any of the other ships that had.
So we're coming up, I take it, on numbers 2 and 3?
Numbers 2 and 3, and one thing you notice is the ship only has half as many sticks as a normal break bulk. You would have to have a mast house between the hatches and another pair of booms for each. That's all for aesthetics.
There's the comfort across the way. I like the yellow guard tape to keep the school kids from climbing up on the ladders when somebody turns their back.
Our friends over on the John Brown showed us how they handle it. We thought that was a fine idea.
Serves 2 purposes. The color alerts you, and the really amazing design. Is that the ship's whistle buried in there?
That is a Leslie Typhon air horn that replaced the steam whistle that's on the radar mast.
Okay.
We had a chief engineer from Maine Maritime who sailed on the ship and told us a story that the steam whistle never worked. It was condemned by ABS in '64, and they said, you either got to make it work or you got to replace it. So they added this Leslie Typhon in '65, and that thing blows a glorious noise. It works just fine.
We have friends that he collected locomotive air horns.
Yeah, my brother's got one.
Wow.
My horn's bigger.
Yep. So this would be hatch number 4?
4 hatch. And then on the center line at the edge of the house is a pair of doors that open to an access trunk to service the underside of the reactor compartment. In the process, we opened them up this year for the first time in 30 or so years. Look real good in there.
Take a little swing around on the bulker that's delivering gypsum, and kind of reminds you of industrial terminals in Houston.
Yeah, the white cranes back there are our new post-Panamax. 2014 Panamax, right? Our 50-foot slip.
Okay, which way should we go?
Well, which way would you like to go?
Well, let's go back up.
Okay.
And we'll. As Earhart mentioned earlier, this is the access hatch to get at the nuclear reactor, and in months to come they might be pulling the rest of it out so that
more like years to come.
Years to come, get a.
Will the money ever come?
Will the money? So here's what the deck sailors would have seen if they were looking out over the hatches. right, now we're going to go back into what Earhart described as the Promenade. Thank you, Earhart. So this would have been filled with deck chairs for people that wanted to relax.
It was the enclosed promenade, and we'll go out to the open deck.
So Ma and Pa, no doubt, trod on this steel close on to 50 years ago. We'll be going inside.
Also, the boats were embarked on the boat deck above. They didn't go out through at the promenade deck level. These doors were for the accommodation ladders, which were originally stored above on the boat deck on the overhang, and they would come down the turntable, set in here, and you'd run the ladder down. And I think at some point we're going to replace these doors just because they're probably not
irreparable at this point. Guess what was this, like a guest
this was the
activity?
Promenade.
Was this a pool?
Yes. Underneath the plywood is a brushed copper nickel pool, two-tone. It's very beautiful. It's still there. Would still work if it weren't for all the dust. We covered it over, and we use it for seating when we have public events. We do Maritime Day up here.
Cool.
A number of other events. These were the shuffleboard ports port and starboard.
Wow.
And just like with the prom deck and with the pool, they were originally magnesite with ceramic tile on top in the outline of the shuffleboard port. We took them off in 2007 to inspect the steel beneath. Number 6 flush hatches on center line. It's raised now because it leaked, and we wound up going through a process. We plated it over.
Well, I'm going to ask Earhart, in honor of our passengers, to take a wander over and give the bell 4 rings for the 4 departed who spent a wonderful time on this ship. 4. Great. Thank you. This is the replaced builder's plate. Camden, New Jersey. As Earhart told me, she spent some time down in Galveston when she needed refueling. Again, there's the Comfort. We'll take a look over the railing here. Whoop. The crew are still putting more lines out for Sandy. And here's the propeller, which was taken off years ago and stored here. So who knows, maybe one day our grandkids can come up and maybe the propeller will be on. We're in front of the bridge of the Savannah. We're just going to pan around to the bulker that's going to leave a lot of dust behind. And here's the view looking forward. This is what the officers would have seen if they were standing out here out at sea. And goes all the way around. So we're back in the veranda, and nothing changes. I'm going to walk over to this display case, and of course you see horse racing. So we're still doing horse racing today on the Royal Caribbean ships. And look at they've got reusable bingo cards, pictures of shuffleboard, and then of course there's lifeboat drills and pictures of the ship when she was relatively new. And here's a picture of people at dinner, and of course we've got a few of those in our repertoire over the years. And that was Silly Hat Night. I did Silly Hat Night on the Mazdam in 1963, so there's nothing new under the sun. The same stuff, whatever works, works. So obviously here's the bar, and look at that. Was that
This is the wine rack.
the lighted That was the wine rack.
It's the wine rack.
Holy cow.
And,
Was it always those colors?
No, it was originally all blue. Little interesting story. I mean, there are a handful of atomic motifs throughout the ship.
Right.
And that wine rack is a representation of what's called the trilinear chart of nuclides. So it's not the periodic table of the elements, but it's similar.
Still representative of...
And the trilinear chart uses hexagons, and there's 3 axes. There's the vertical and the 2 diagonals. And we actually recently got a copy of the bar menu. And the bar menu from States Marine Lines in '62 has the backsplash of the bar.
So did States take it over from...
States had it originally.
States had it originally.
And then they were fired in '63 after the big strike and
I get it.
firing the engineers.
And export got it.
And export got it. And they got it because they had a combined single officers union.
Are the clocks original to
Clocks are original. The 2 that are missing, one was Ship's Time, and it was marked Savannah. And then I forget what the other one was. I don't know what the other one was, because the other one was missing when I took the ship out in '94. The Savannah clock was supposed to go to the Merchant Marine Academy. We had it removed, and then it walked in the shipyard. So.
If it's not nailed down. So, of course, I still read Maritime Reporter to this day. So she was the cover girl from
Twice.
1958 and 1959. Really cool. And the models, here's another large model. I have a container ship model back home that I brought in the house, and my wife said, "What are you going to do with that?" And I said, "I'm going to put it on the mantle." And for a split second, she believed me. And then
For a split second, she let you.
Right, but then in another split second, she was going to harm me. So, very, very interesting stuff here. You know, and it's amazing to have the connection. So this is what the veranda would look like.
The brass keepers around the dance floor are original. All the tile is replaced.
Wow.
And we don't have any of the chairs.
They all walked. So back on one of these other display cases, they have a luggage tag like Mom brought home for us. And I have a jigsaw puzzle, not of the Savannah, but of one of the Royal Caribbean ships. So again, nothing new under the sun. You got to get it's hard to get the view of that with the reflection. And that's American Export's ad. So here's those clocks again. They're original to the ship, and deck plans. And
you'll notice that in the spirit of Atoms for Peace, there's a Moscow clock.
There's a Moscow clock. Who's going to kill who first?
Okay, so we're entering the ship's main lounge, the passenger lounge, which was rededicated in 2009, or named in 2009 in honor of President Eisenhower, father of Atoms for Peace and the Savannah. And we're slowly but surely, as you come in here, there are a lot more professional displays, and we're working our way through. The shrine we have here to the Lenin, which was the first nuclear surface ship, the Soviet icebreaker, commemorates a ceremony we had for her 50th anniversary at the end of 2009. We actually flew the hammer and sickle for the day. And most of it's on video, except for when the Stoli came out. Then the video got shut off. But this is going to be replaced with like Dawn of the Nuclear Age. And then as you walk in, there's Atoms for Peace. A little bit about what it was, its significance even to this day. Some tchotchkes. The president. And then as you walk in, what we have is a timeline of the ship's history, a few portholes that talk about the ship over the years. And of course we do have one of the original petrified wood tables. Your parents would have seen that. You might have sat up here for that.
My old man put a beer on that table.
He might have. He might have. That's the table there in the photograph.
Oh, cool. Look at that.
Then there was a picture of the original space. We actually have the piano that's in this photograph. When Texas Maritime Academy was established in Galveston in '65, And the Savannah came out of passenger service in '65. A lot of cross-decking, unofficial cross-decking occurred. And we found out a few years ago that the piano was one of the cross-decked items. And
Is it still down there?
It's in cargo hold number 4. They sent it
Oh.
back to us in 2008. It's in about 6 pieces and needs about a $60,000 restoration, but it is restorable.
Did they have a band on the ship, or was that
On this ship or on the
when it sailed? Yeah,
I don't think they had live music on here. No, they had a lot of closed circuit.
there's a better than even chance then that my father would have sat down at the piano. I'm not kidding. He was a piano player, and
if you have a spare $60,000, we can recreate that moment.
well, who knows?
This the large hunk of wood is the plating model from New York Shipbuilding. We found it in the Independent Seaport Museum in Philadelphia last year, or earlier this year actually.
My
And they were
God.
kind enough to loan it to us. And
Look
it's
at that.
off because we're putting UV film on the windows. But
Look
if
at
this
that.
were upright, if you looked at the other side, it's the
Yeah.
half hull with the plating drawn on it for lofting.
Wow, look
Old
at
school
that.
naval architecture.
Yeah, old school is right.
And the card room, when it's finished, hopefully for Maritime Day next year, will be redone as really is going to concentrate on the design and construction of the ship.
Let's see. Maybe we'll try to make it up for Maritime Day. That would be cool.
Saturday, May 18th.
Saturday. Well, that'll be one day after my 66th birthday. So I will announce loudly when I get home that Grandpa wants a birthday present in 1966, and they can get me a ticket, and if the rest of them want to come. Cameron. Thanks to Earhart, we're in the captain's cabin of the Savannah, and of course it's stripped down, but essentially this is the way it looked, and intercom on the bulkhead, and it looks like he had his own thermostat.
All the rooms did.
And check out this telephone. My goodness, you can put that on eBay and probably retire on the proceeds. And so here is his day room where he would have conducted the ship's business, dealing with agents and crew and problems. And, if he was in port, he probably spent quite a bit of time in here. And this is how he kept involved with what was going on.
The SS Savannah portrait comes from the Cape Nome.
Oh, wow.
And was acquired, I think, somewhere in Scandinavia or Finland. I think it's Finland.
Made in Finland. Yep,
Yeah.
there it is. Cool.
But we rescued that from the chief engineer's office of the Cape Nome, along with
Yes,
quite a bit of restoration material.
that's good to note. There was more than one Savannah.
We'll go up to the wheelhouse.
Okay. This was
Unassigned.
unassigned, so maybe if
Three of them.
like owners' cabins, if some of the bigwigs of States Lines or American Export wanted to take a little trip, maybe that's where they stayed. We had to convert the hospitals on our foreign-built heavy lift ships to a four-berth cabin for if we had to take soldiers or people along with some of the cargo. Wait a minute, gotta stick right in. There's the gyro.
Big Mark 14.
Got involved with the failure of many of those. Yeah. So, as Earhart says, when you get down to the nuts and bolts of it, not much is different from the bridge of almost any other merchant ship of its time.
She was very, she was not state of the art.
No, it was nothing state of the art. Good old Raytheon fathometer saved my neck one day off of Cape Cod. There's the running lights. All sea stories begin. I was coming out of the Houston Ship Channel one night on a tanker, and our pilot said to the other pilot, or the other pilot said to our pilot, "Where are you?" And our pilot says, I don't know, I'm here, where are you? He says, our pilot says, I can see you. He says, but I can't see you. And then the captain looked over and says, mate, don't you think it's time you turn the running lights on? So, and then you could hit all 5, and then you hear the pilot say, oh, there you are. So, you know, fortunately I had some decent captains that overlooked my, shall we say. So you stuck your head down in the radar like this, and you got sore eyes from trying to see what was on it. And of course, as Earhart said, state of the art they weren't. But, and a lot of people didn't learn how to use them. I was in Hamburg in 2009. So this is what the deck officers would have been using to communicate. Look at these great old phones, rudder angle indicators, compasses, engine RPMs, engine telegraph. You know, certainly not state of the art, but effective for its day. What I don't see is we had 2 steering engines on the Pioneer Contractor. And did it have 2 wheels?
Why not? Savannah has single rudder, single wheel.
Yeah, but the engines that ran it.
The motors are, I think, here's the 2 steering pumps.
Okay, that's where you switched them over. Yeah, that's what we did at noontime.
Right.
You switched them over from one to the other to wear them out equally.
Yeah. Yeah, this is all steering gear here.
Yeah.
Here's.
And when all else fails, you could holler in there to get that would go right to the captain's stable.
Yeah, that's it. This is actually a pneumatic.
Oh,
you
look
can
at
put
that.
the message in there.
Yeah, look at that. And that survived.
Yeah, remarkably.
Oh, my
I think that might be actually, I may have brought one from down in the fleet.
Oh, don't tell everybody. Just tell everybody it survived. Look at the dehumidification.
Right, now this was added around 66 or so. They put in DH in the cargo hold so that they could carry tobacco and things like that.
Holy cow.
But this is the only change to the bridge.
And she had stabilizers.
She had stabilizers.
Look at that.
Consoles right here. Did not need them for the reactor to operate. They were more for show.
Yeah.
In fact, they were either very reliable or they would fail spectacularly.
Well, the part owner of the New York Yankees, eventual owner of the Astros and the Devils. Who was that?
Oh.
You didn't know there was going to be a pop quiz, did you?
No.
John J. McMullen.
Yes.
And he was John J. McMullen Naval Architects and Marine Engineers, aside from being a big shot with United States Lines in the day. And he developed a flume stabilization system, which he sold to the Russians, who used it on some of their Ro-Ro ships. It's a GSA clock. It says General Services Administration, but I'm going to zoom in to what I assume is the minute hand, and I think that says Chelsea. Yes, it does. And these are angle indicators for how the ship rolls. You can see the bubble in the middle there, and so the ship is basically it's
about a degree of port west.
Yeah, it's cool. And there's another rudder angle indicator so that the guy on the wheel could check what he was actually doing.
The clinometer and the clock and this grating are replacements, but they fit right into the original screw
holes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a Chelsea that we got for a wedding present.
It's a Fairbanks Morse opposed piston engine.
My goodness gracious, a FM opposed piston engine.
5 1/4.
Holy smokes. Look at that. Those were submarine engines.
Yeah.
So is it vertical?
It's vertical, yeah. 2 2 crankshafts, one above, one below.
Holy cow. Is that a turbocharger?
I don't know. Could
Well,
be.
see, it looks like this is the air. This looks like the air inlet.
Could be.
Yeah, they might, you know, at the air inlet, they might turbo it. Look at this, my goodness.
I've got more than a few people that really want to work on this and make it run.
Oh, well, I can imagine. There's a.
But it's a hydraulic start.
A
And,
hydraulic. Oh, here is this the starter?
It could be.
Yeah, that would be there. It is. That's the hydraulic.
So we have
And
to,
this is the crankshaft.
Yeah, we have to go in
So-
and replace a whole bunch of.
And there's the teeth.
hoses.
Yeah, there's the teeth. So. Yep, there's the teeth. Holy smokes.
I tell people it last ran in '94, and I was told it ran in '94 and it was tested, but I don't know if I believe it.
Look at it. It's
Well, I was around in '94.
it's actually. It looks like it's skid mounted.
Yes.
So you could unbolt it and drag it out, drag it out the back. Look at the radiator. Holy moly! Look at that.
That's, you know, that's an interesting observation. I didn't notice that
Yeah.
before. I wonder. I bet you could.
What's on the other side?
Well, that's the recess. That's the notch in the house for the air.
Well, that's it. It just would slide out. You put beams down, grease
Yeah,
them,
it looks exactly
use
like
come-alongs, and I know that. Noticed that because of the way it's curved here
Yeah,
with this
for-
pipe, because that's how they handle oil field equipment
Yeah.
in the field.
No, you're right. Absolutely.
They let it slide off. This might have actually been designed, you know, as an oil field generator, and rather than modify it, they used its inherent characteristics to,
It's the same on this end.
yeah.
I'll be damned.
How about that?
See, you learn something new every day.
Yeah. Well, my dear departed mom, who sailed on this ship once referred to me as a fund of useless information. Thank you, Mom.
Yeah, you know, it's funny as my wife says the same.
As Earhart just said, this is the last of what would be considered the public spaces on the ship, the dining hall. So I suppose they figured in the design that it would just be couples, because what do you got? 10, 20 tables for 2. And then let's see what else is. Any menus? Oh, look at oh, okay, here we go.
Now these are the American Export Lines menus.
This is the,
China.
I'm going to have to look very closely. No, those glasses are different. The glasses, I don't know, I have to look.
That's actually, I think, bar glasses. Those are not
dining room glasses.
Dining room glasses. We did get stemware from all of this stuff was taken off in '65 when the ship stopped carrying passengers, and it all went up to the Merchant Marine Academy, and they used it, and then they boxed it up and stored it, and they had milk crates of this stuff in the basement of the museum.
Yeah, this is the menu. Look, this is only they were November, so this is only 5 months later. This menu from when they were on the ship. So look at the
We have
cover.
samples from states as well.
Cool. So this would have been a waiter station for water.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Just, there's some photographs on the bulkhead that show. And this is the last of the originally commissioned artwork that remains on the ship.
Wow. Look at
I'm
that.
hoping to do a conservation project this year. You know, it was originally white. So.
Looks like some of the stuff we saw in Barcelona last month at Gaudi's Cathedral.
Well, we do have stemware, and
Yeah.
it's plain glass just with the logo engraved in it,
Because
much like the silver.
ours has the name and the logo on it.
Mhm.
So I'll have to look. I'll have to make a still.
Yeah, I think I think it's similar to that.
I just had a feeling that it was wider at the bottom. Notice how thick the bottoms were.
Yeah.
Just for stability. And of course, this is a copper model of the Savannah.
Yes.
Wow.
The shield is original. I actually have the drawings for when the model was commissioned.
Is that glass and plexiglass? Or is this all?
The shield is plexi, the frame is glass.
Wow.
Tempered glass. The painting is from the Marriott collection. And
Oh,
then,
wow.
and then you'll notice this clock. There are 4 of these clocks, 2 up in the veranda, in the card room and the writing room, and then 1 on the purser's desk. The stove art is also from the same gentleman who had the models and did the orange couch and
look.
the other upholstery, and it's uniquely remarked with the NS Savannah. So we're very proud to have that. There's a self-guided walking path that I'll give you the welcome
There
aboard
we
book
go.
that goes through all this.
Oh,
This
cool.
is the Vanna White moment of the tour. It's on other numerous videotapes. So.
So I'm not the first guy to come in with a camera, I'm sure.
No, but I do the song and dance. So this is our. That's the skull right here.
Yeah. Look at that big motor. My goodness, that was high pressure steam and washing everything. Nobody ever got sick on this ship from norovirus.
No. She had a full complement of 190 people.
Look at this.
Look at this, right?
Look at this.
This is your 1954 model, 1958 vintage. Raytheon, not a Manna.
Yeah.
Radar range.
Look at that. My God.
Stainless steel. Complete
Stainless
with
steel.
no interlock. Close the door, please, if you're going to nuke something. Water cooled. Water cooled.
Oh.
Does it work? We don't know. Do we
right.
want to know?
Yeah,
No.
right. Well, I had all my children, so I suppose I might be a crash test dummy. Look at the bread slicer.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness. Uh-oh, I had a Charlie Ray flashback there from the mess deck at New York Maritime with the hot boxes with the food. Were they doing that when you were there?
I don't think
They
so.
put all the food in hot boxes and then wheel it out, and the mugs would stand in front of the boxes.
Had they built the new mess deck
Yeah,
yet?
yeah.
They went up in the 50s, didn't they?
Yeah. And then it would be seats, and the mugs would open the doors to the hot boxes and take the trays of food out.
No, it was not done that way when I was.
Oh, look at this mixer. This is one of these. Look at that. This is for soup.
Mm-hmm. Steam kettle.
Yeah. And this is for mixing the bread. Look at that.
There's a cheese slicer over there
My goodness.
and a potato peeler over here.
Look at that. Blakesley kitchen machines. And routine ovens, I guess.
Yeah, baking oven's a
Hot point.
pizza oven kind of thing.
Look at that hot point.
It'll open.
Look at, holy moly.
So that same Greek electrician, when he was not at sea, he ran pizza shops.
Jeez.
And he's like, I can make all this run. I said, as long as you make breakfast, you can make it run. And he disappeared.
I had a Greek fix the air conditioning on my GTO after 5 years and probably 1,500 hours of other people trying. Just taking a sniff.
Yeah, I haven't been in there. All right, so this is the reactor compartment.
So the cooks were the first to go.
Yes, yes. It would be. So Nicholas Johnson was the administrator in 1964. And the ship they'd gone through the strike, 63 into 64. It's coming back into service. He becomes administrator. And he's complaining to the Marriott public affairs officer that when you come on board the ship, you can't see anything nuclear. And you don't know that the ship is owned by the Maritime Administration. So among other things, this porthole was added so that if you walked through, you could see inside the reactor. Of course, the light's not on. But so that's what you can see nuclear. That's when the engine room was painted in the different colors, because before that it was white. And then on the counter in the purser's lobby where you came in, they added the lettering, "The Savannah is a joint project of the Atomic Energy Commission and the Maritime Administration." So, had to know who was who.
Crew quarters, or?
These were. This is our radiation control point. And we converted it from 3 crew staterooms, which were very, you'll see other crew staterooms, so it's very common, typical 2 bunks, double occupancy shared head between 2 rooms, just like any other merchant ship of the day. But this is our Radcon bomb or Bobette, depending on your interpretation of gender.
It's like when we did the bomb drills in grade school in Verona, sure. Like that was going to save you. They do that now in California for earthquake drills. Like
I show this room off because it's an example of what is called adaptive reuse under contemporary historic preservation law. So Savannah's got 48 crew staterooms. You couldn't possibly use all 48 in their original configuration, but if you imagine what Savannah might be if it's preserved, not a hotel, this is not the Queen Mary, but maybe a conference center or a museum or whatever.
Oh, absolutely.
We can build these out into galleries and use it to interpret the ship's history. Now on the other side, the steward's mess and crew mess are all going to be galleries for that.
This looks like it might be one of the longest single clear views on the ship.
Pretty close, yeah. Yeah, actually, because there's no dogleg in the passage.
Yeah.
That's
All right.
number 4 cargo hold forward.
Oh. Hang on.
Documentation.
And here they are, folks, the yellow turbines. And 48 years ago was the last time I saw these. Imagine that. 48 years ago was the last time I saw these. Now, that's the engineer's control room in the background there. And it looks like it could run today.
If there were any gear components, it might be possible. That chunk of gear that's on the dock is the bull gear from this ship.
Oh boy!
It was taken out in 1981, put into the tanker American Explorer, and to get it out, every component in the gear train was removed, and we double checked, and there's nothing in there.
Okay, here's the main deal. It might have been the side view that I remember, but look at that big old De La Valle. Stuck in my mind all this time. All this time. Heh. So 50 years from now, when my grandson Zach and Luke come to visit,
This is where Grandpa shot the video.
This is where Grandpa shot the video talking about his father. Must have been one noisy place in there.
They tell me it was pretty quiet. Turbine engine rooms aren't that noisy. It's a lot of big dull whine,
The training ship engine room was one noisy place. Authorized by. So we're in the control room for the Savannah.
Main switchboard.
And you want to talk about some circuit breakers. Those are some big buggers. Do not operate. Danger. And recording charts for water temperature, reactor temperatures, loop flow. Goodness gracious. And all analog. And of course, you got to have an ashtray.
Of course.
Of course. When we sailed on the training ship in the 60s, there were $1.25 a carton. It's almost like you couldn't afford not to smoke. So now we're down in the, you wouldn't call it the bowels of the ship, but I suppose you could.
Getting close.
You're getting close.
You can walk in the control room.
Oh. Now, I guess they put this back to it so you wouldn't see it explode.
Well, the passengers could come down here while the ship was at sea. They couldn't come down here, but they could watch from the gallery
Wow.
while the ship was.
Well, actually, it wouldn't have been a hell of a lot to see.
Cool. 3 guys down here smoking.
Yeah. Look at all the gauges. And when it comes to it, you see the control rooms of modern nuclear plants, and except for it's digital, it's laid out.
It's digital and they're bigger, but
it's laid out remarkably the same. What are all those?
That's all the alarms.
Alarms. That's what I thought.
The one that's missing is the scram alarm, but we have the we took the plate out so that it didn't get pilfered.
So this was the main engine order telegraph that they would react to.
And those little push buttons right there and in front of you are the throttles.
Look at that. Throttle positions ahead, stern. Golly.
Savannah was automated when automation was a 4-letter word.
Yeah. Well, if you had to have people keeping track of all this, never would have happened. It would have been doomed before it started. The total crew.
Total crew was 65.
Because we had 41 on the Pioneer.
Yeah.
Wow, look at this, guys. You can get up into the guts. So, what are we looking at here? That's
Low
the
pressure turbine
low
on the
pressure, because that had more steam under less
Volume
pressure.
increase, yeah.
And then this would be the high pressure over here.
Correct.
And then the gearing to connect them together.
Yep. Now this green motor over here, what's labeled emergency motor, this is an auxiliary propulsion motor. There are 2 diesel generators on the lower level starboard side. And in a dead flat calm, the ship could do about 6 or 7 knots on the motor.
Until the fuel ran out.
Until the fuel ran out.
And imagine it didn't carry all that much.
Turbo generators are on the, actually the double bottoms underneath here are all fuel, diesel fuel.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess suppose it's going to
So
keep
it was a
the.
fair amount.
Yeah. Cool. New ventilation.
Yeah. Old DH. Actually, we installed this. It was DH in the reserve fleet. It's not DH now. We haven't stripped it out.
So that's where we're in the starboard side.
Yeah, the generators. You can go down there. That's all marked off for a test, a DoD test.
I'll try. I'll take your word for it.
Okay. It's an auxiliary boiler.
It's so eerily quiet.
Yes.
You have this feeling that there should be noise, and you also have the feeling that under the right circumstances the noise could start again. A little slippery here.
I have this, museums should be interactive, and I have this scheme plotted to go up and send a team to the Empire State and while she's on cruise, record the sounds of the engine room.
What a great idea.
And then put the speakers in here. And
What a great idea. Yeah.
these are the manual controls for the throttle valves. So if the automation were to fail, you could maneuver the ship
Just like
from the valves.
the old days.
Yep. And then a couple gauges here.
One of the things they taught us was watch the RPMs on the engine, because every once in a while the engineers would go the wrong way. and don't, he said, then they said, don't do this with the engine order telegraph, because they already think they're going the right way, and sometimes that gets them to open the wrong valve wider. So pick up the phone and call them and say, you're going the wrong way. Not that any engineer would ever admit to.
There's a nice deal of valve plate for
Look
you.
at that. Trenton, New Jersey. Made in the good old US of A.
Everything out here was made in the.
Yeah.
I don't know that you could do it again.
That's the unfortunate part, and that's why the Roman Empire fell. It rotted out from the inside out. Look at that Westinghouse. So we've got Westinghouse, De Laval, Otis, Babcock and Wilcox,
General Electric, Carrier,
Raytheon, Carrier, EMD, Fairbanks Morse. You know, household names of the modern industrial revolution. And get that. Tubes.
the distilling plant.
I cannot get over how quiet it is. You know, if you go on the video of the Ocean Atlas, even if she's just sitting there, you know, the auxiliary generators are running and the racket is just De Laval Stokite planetary gear made in the USA. You didn't run through here, boy. You went slowly. Magnificent. Just
Website, so that's an option for it.
that's it. All right, we're coming into cabin A20, in which Aunt Mary, Mom, Pa stayed. Earhart pointed out, if you look at behind the desk, the monitor, and the file cabinet, you can see the two headboards. And then Aunt Mary must have been on, her cabin was A20S, so this settee would have converted to a bed. The steward would have folded that out while they were at dinner. And this is...
That's A22.
A22, so there was a connecting door in case you had other folk. But was this just a settee room?
No, it was a settee and the Pullman, so it was two people.
Okay, there was a Pullman here as well. So this is where they were, gang. 48 short years ago. So they went and sat there and maybe filled out postcards and look at the modernity of the design of the drawers. Even though would the bulkheads been this color, or?
The bulkheads were this color, yeah. They've been painted, but they were originally melamine finish.
Wow.
And it was green.
Cool.
And the ceilings were white.
Okay, we're videoing the main entrance lobby, and they have models of the ship. This one was sold at auction at Christie's for $3,500 and then eventually donated to the ship. And there's plaques making this ship a landmark. Here's what some of the cabins would have looked like. This is likely what Mom and Pa's cabin looked like, the two beds and the settee. These are the shoulder boards that the engineers would have worn that indicated they were nuclear engineers. And the whole thing was atoms for peace. They kissed up to the Russians. I'm pretty sure that is Galveston. Can't guarantee it, but probably was. That's a postcard that I have, and there's Mamie Eisenhower. Ike is honored as the father, champion of Atoms for Peace, and Admiral McReady was a champion of the vessel and donated quite a bit of his personal collection to the ship. If I'm not mistaken, that is Pope Pius. Can it be? Yeah. And here's a letter from the Pope. Now, Mom and Dad wouldn't have seen that. Okay, he didn't come to the ship, but they got an audience.